seemed like delusions. Who would believe furniture could be weaponized? When a nurse brought me real food, I smiled for the first time in years. Someone photographed that moment. Later, it circulated as proof I was happy to be away from my family. Dad's narrative shaped every piece of evidence. My joy at eating a hot meal became rebellion against loving parents. The CPS worker explained this had become a formal custody battle. Both sides would need lawyers. Both sides would fight for Emma and Michael. Neither of us could back down now. Dad had resources, community support, and fabricated medical evidence. I had Catherine and the truth. It didn't feel like enough. Dad started dating my former homeschool teacher, Ms. Sarah, just 2 weeks after the custody battle began. She showed up at the hospital with him, her hand on his shoulder, explaining to staff how she'd witnessed his dedication to his daughter's special needs. She quoted parenting philosophy books about raising obedient children, nodding sympathetically as Dad described my rebellion. The nurses began deferring to her educational expertise. Different nurses reported contradicting versions of my statements to the psychiatric team. The night nurse wrote that I seemed lucid but traumatized. The day nurse noted delusional thinking and light obsession. The evening nurse documented aggressive behavior when I tried to shield my eyes from overhead fluorescence. Each interpretation depended on whether they'd witnessed my genuine light sensitivity or Dad's performance about my condition. My old diary entries surfaced during the investigation. Pages where I'd written about wanting to see the sun, desperate scribbles about missing daylight, were reframed as sewer-slide ideation. Dad's lawyer presented them as evidence of a death wish I'd documented for years. The psychiatric evaluation team added this to their growing file of concerns. Emma's friend Lily visited me during supervised visitation hours. She innocently mentioned that Emma had told her the darkness keeps us pure. She described how Emma explained that I was sick for wanting light, that real sisters would stay together in darkness forever. The supervising social worker scribbled notes about my negative influence being contradicted by my sister. Catherine's doorbell camera footage became evidence, but not in the way we'd hoped. Yes, it captured my escape, but it also showed Dad's earlier visits. Weeks of footage revealed him checking on his sick daughter, bringing medications, expressing concern to Catherine about my deteriorating condition. His groundwork made my escape look like the impulsive act of a mentally ill teenager. The family court treated my testimony about abuse as an attempt to avoid returning to medical treatment. The judge asked repeatedly about my diagnosed conditions, referencing Dad's stack of medical documentation. When I couldn't name the specific disorder I supposedly had, it reinforced the narrative that I was in denial about my illness. During a computer session at the hospital, I suddenly remembered Mom's cloud password. She'd spelled it out loud once while organizing photos in the darkness, thinking I couldn't hear. My fingers trembled as I logged in. Years of family photos loaded slowly. Each album was meticulously organized by date. I clicked through chronologically, watching my own deterioration documented in Dad's careful metadata notes tracking my genetic decline. Dad's social media presence painted him as a community pillar. Photos showed him teaching women modesty at church events, leading parenting workshops, organizing homeschool gatherings. Comments praised his traditional values and dedication to raising proper young ladies. The contrast between his public persona and private actions made my accusations seem impossible. The hospital psychiatrist was required to report my concerning statements about being kept in darkness as potential delusions. My insistence that this was real, not metaphorical, worried him. He prescribed antipsychotics, noting that I showed signs of a break from reality. The medication made me drowsy, which was documented as improvement in my agitation. I tried recording a phone call with Dad, hoping to capture something incriminating, but the bright phone screen triggered eye spasms. My hands shook, pupils dilating painfully. The phone clattered to the floor. Dad heard it fall and made soothing sounds about how I still couldn't handle light. The failed recording attempt was noted as another episode. Emma's homeschool evaluation deadline loomed. Someone needed legal custody to submit her paperwork, or she'd be considered truant. Dad used this urgency to push for immediate return of all children. The court faced pressure to resolve custody quickly for educational compliance. A sympathetic nurse who'd witnessed Dad's manipulation received an anonymous complaint about her professional conduct. The threat to her license was clear. She had student loans, a family to support. She withdrew her offer to testify, apologizing with tears in her eyes. Another potential ally disappeared. Dad posted old videos of my darkened room on social media, claiming he was preserving my safe space for when I returned from kidnapping. Comments flooded in praising his dedication, but I recognized the furniture arrangements in each video. He documented his own abuse, thinking it showed his care. He offered to forgive everything if I admitted I was sick and needed home treatment. The offer came through my court-appointed advocate, wrapped in language about family healing and reconciliation. Refusing would be framed as choosing rebellion over recovery. The advocate seemed to think I should consider it. I discovered Dad's doctor friend hadn't acted alone. The medical documentation required 2 signatures. A pediatric psychiatrist I'd never met had signed commitment papers, diagnosing me based solely on Dad's descriptions. The network of professionals willing to support his narrative was larger than I'd realized. Michael managed to sneak